Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 124 of Be With Me. I'm going to title this, Shooting Bullets of Purity to See God. So here's where it comes from. This is from Matthew chapter 5 and verse number 8. We've talked about it a day before here. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. So let's talk about the carrot first. The carrot is that you get to see God. So what a hoot that is. So why would you want to be a people of purity? You know, the Puritans kind of have this reputation of being, kind of getting a bad rap. But why would we want to be Puritans? Just so we can say no to certain things? No. You want to be a Puritan, you want to be a person of purity so that you get to the yes, which is to see the face of God. So by dialing up the purity, you increase the clarity of seeing God. Now there's a part of this carrot that is a now part, that is you get the mess of sin and impediment out of the way to be able to stand before God undefiled and see him better in this life. But then there's this also as we're shooting for a goal, 100% vision, and hope for this translate to purity now. That is a future hope in the Lord. I want to go to heaven. I want to see the Lord. I want to be unhindered. Then translate. So what's the practical thing? The practical thing is purity now. So if you want to see his face and stand before him undefiled later, start working now. All right. So the goal is very high. We're supposed to be bringing holiness to completion. God has a very high standard. So we're just going to at least get started on that. The standard is 100%. And then the response to that would be, I'll never make it. Throw your hands up and not even get started. Or the second thing can be is, what can I do now? And that's what we're going to talk about today, is a couple of practical things to battle the purity battle. It's an area that affects every area of life, this pursuit of purity. So part of this is an assessment, what you do on your computer or on your phone, or what you do with your tongue, or what you do with your leisure time, or what you do with your ministry, or what you do with your thought life. And so the best way, we've been talking about the Beatitudes, so in general, the 40,000-foot view is, what's the best way to be a friend of Jesus? And he tells us here the best way to be a friend of Jesus is to be a friend with these things. And specifically today, be a friend of purity. We talked yesterday about, I don't know what I should be working on. And if you just ask yourself honestly, there's a few things. And if that doesn't work, ask the Lord. He'll tell you. And then if that doesn't work, just ask one person who's close to you in your life, is what area is out of control in my life and I should be working on. Trust me, they'll have an answer for you. So the battleground may be, and this is a battleground. That's the thing, is I'm going to give you bullets here in a second. The battleground might be sexual temptation. It might be anger. It might be something else you do with your tongue, or gossip. It might be stinking thinking, what you do with your mind. It might be what you do with your body in sloth area. It might be doing with your finances, what you do with your wallet or your purse. It might be your pride. So there's lots of areas that these next things can apply to. So what I want to get to is practical advice. Here's the practical advice. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 13:10. That's an important verse, and there's some principles in there. Write this down if you want to shoot a bullet at impurity. Here it is. No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, he will also provide a way of escape that you may be able to endure it. So here's some things about 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. Write that down. Is that you have, first of all, you're not alone in this. This is common to man, common to woman. And don't be surprised when temptation seizes you or overtakes you. And the other thing that's neat about this passage is God is with you, and it tells you what God is like. God is faithful. It's one of the most basic principles about God is that he is with us in a hesed sort of a way. And you're not going to be tempted beyond your ability. So you can't say, I got angry because, or I let sexual temptation go because. And he's going to give you a way of escape. So let's enact that door of escape. So that's a passage I would encourage you to memorize. Why? Well, because that's what Psalm 119, verse 9, another verse that I would turn you to. How can a young man keep his way pure? By guarding it according to your word, or keeping it according to your word. Then verse 11, I have stored up your word in my heart that I may not sin against you. Psalm 119, verses 9 and 11. So fight the fire of temptation with the fire of the word. And it applies, it says, how can a young man keep his way pure? It's interesting. I accessed this psalm and this verse for this reason when I was a young man. And guess what? Now that I'm an old man, it is just as applicable today as it was when I was a young man. Or if you're a young woman or an old woman, I don't think it matters. So how can a young man keep his way pure? By guarding it according to your words. The NIV says, by keeping it according to your word. Thy word I have treasured in my heart that I may not sin against you. So have some verses to memorize. Start with this one and use the word to fight the fire. And then finally is find a people of purity. Just to encourage you, because it's a long haul, and have a group of people. If you can ask this question to a couple people, hey, how is your purity doing? And you ask this as a real question, and they give you a real answer, then you'll know that you're in Christian fellowship. If you can't ask it, head more towards the people of God. All right, I leave you with 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. Psalm 119, verses 9 and 11, and then the people of God. That's the bullets that you should be shooting to get to purity. Why? So that you get the carrot. What's the carrot? That you may see God. Thanks for listening.